Welcome to today's Explainer, everyone. Today, we're unpacking a profoundly haunting and honestly incredibly beautiful conclusion. We're stepping back into a world where the sea doesn't just crash against the shore. It breathes, it remembers, and it mourns. We're going to break down the mythological mechanics and the devastating emotional weight of an inevitable, tragic sacrifice. This is the finale of Where the Ocean Breathes and the ultimate story of Tanjiro Kamado's final choice. So let's jump right into the psychology of this. Think about strange fact number 8. People don't notice changes in others right away, especially if they desperately want everything to remain the same. This deep-seated human denial is really the engine driving the start of this whole tragedy. You know, when Tanjiro first came back, he seemed totally like his normal self. He was smiling, talking, training with everyone. But then, well, occasionally, right in the middle of a sentence, he'd just freeze. He'd stare off into the distance, looking exactly like he was listening to a sound nobody else could hear. And his friends? They ignored it. Because, honestly, the alternative was just way too terrifying to accept. Which brings us to the first phase of our analysis, the cold of the final wave. Mitsuri was actually the first one to pick up on this creeping coldness. Tanjiro was always known for this intense human warmth, right? Warm hands, the familiar sense of life. But suddenly, out of nowhere, his hands are literally freezing cold. And it gets weirder. Beads of actual seawater would inexplicably form on his dry skin, even when there was zero rain and no ocean for miles. His sense of smell started fading. And the absolute most unsettling part? At night, he started whispering in foreign voices. These were the voices of the drowned, the lost, and the lonely. And they were constantly begging him, "Help us, don't leave us, you understand." Now, this realization forces us to stop and ask a terrifying question, one that makes us re-examine everything we thought we knew about this universe. What if the curse doesn't kill? I mean, we usually think of supernatural afflictions as diseases, right? Things meant to destroy a host. But actually, scratch that. What if that's entirely wrong? The horrifying reality we discover here is that this wasn't a fatal illness at all. It was a slow, incredibly deliberate metamorphosis. The curse wasn't killing Tanjiro. It was systematically replacing him. To really grasp why Tanjiro was chosen for this, we need to look at the core world building. Let's dig into the ancient law of the ocean. What's absolutely fascinating here is how this lore completely redefines the ocean. It's no longer just a body of water. It's this ancient, incredibly lonely entity. And this ocean creature couldn't just step onto the land itself. It needed a door. But here is the massive catch. It couldn't just take someone by force. It required a willing vessel. It needed someone who would voluntarily maintain the connection between the world of the living and the deep. Essentially, it needed someone with an immense, almost fatal capacity for empathy. Someone who intimately understood human pain. So the true tragedy? The ocean didn't ruthlessly attack Tanjiro. Tanjiro became the door the very second he felt pity for this lonely monster. His own boundless kindness was the key. And that leads us to a devastating realization on the beach, the inevitability of choice. Consider this genuinely chilling psychological truth. A person begins to disappear not when the body dies, but when their voice no longer belongs only to them. When Mitsuri finally catches up to Tanjiro by the shore, he's standing knee-deep in water that's literally moving toward him like a living creature. She's desperate, telling him they'll find a cure, they'll fix it. But Tanjiro softly stops her. And for the first time, when he speaks, Mitsuri hears an echo. It isn't just Tanjiro anymore. It is the sound of thousands of souls speaking simultaneously right through him. His entire identity is fracturing and dissolving into the collective consciousness of the deep. But despite this horrifying transformation happening to his body, Tanjiro is terrifyingly calm. He just looks out at the sea with this peaceful smile and drops a heartbreaking truth. They don't want to cause pain. They just can't let go. This completely flips the script on the threat. This is not some malicious invasion. It's an uncontrollable overflow of collective sorrow. These drowned souls aren't evil. They're just trapped in grief, desperately clinging to the warmth of the living world. So you might be wondering, what happens if Tanjiro does nothing? Why can't he just stay on land? Well, here are the stakes he figured out. If this connection completes while he's still on land, the ocean is going to learn how to bypass physical water altogether. It will literally flood directly into people's hearts. It's going to use human longing, love, and that desperate desire to reclaim what we've lost as its new conduit. The entire world would be emotionally consumed, basically turning into a metaphorical flooded city. just a stagnant, sorrowful place where no one can ever process grief and no one will ever let anyone go again. To stop the world from literally drowning in sorrow, Tanjiro realizes there's only one option. He has to sever the connection by leaving with the ocean permanently. Which sets the stage for our climax under a moonless sky, Farewell on the Shore. In this incredibly helpless space, where swords and breathing styles are completely useless against an ocean, we get this beautiful, devastating exchange. Mitsuri holds Tanjiro's face with trembling hands and confesses, "I don't want to let you go." Tanjiro just closes his eyes, completely accepting her grief, and replies, "I know, and that is exactly what makes us human." It perfectly anchors this massive supernatural narrative right back in a deeply grounded, painful human reality. Our desire to hold on to the people we love is our absolute greatest strength, but it's also the exact vulnerability the ocean feeds on. By accepting this grief, Tanjiro acknowledges his humanity one last time before he surrenders it.
And then, Tanjiro doesn't fall. He walks, deliberately, into his sacrifice, step by step, up to the ankles, up to the knees, up to the chest. As he wades deeper, the ocean around him actually begins to glow with thousands of blue lights. It looks like a cosmos of sunken stars, finally welcoming him home. And then, slowly, the water closes over him. Just a split second before he vanishes completely, Mitsuri hears that chaotic cacophony of crying voices from the deep. But right in the middle of them, clear and incredibly comforting, is Tanjiro's voice. He just says, "Everything is fine." The moment the water swallows him, that terrifying, grasping presence of the sea instantly vanishes. For the first time in years, the ocean becomes absolutely, eerily silent. Fast forward a few months, and we arrive at the epilogue, Warmth in the Waves. All the terrifying anomalies have completely ceased. The disappearances have stopped, the shore is safe again. But there is this subtle, lingering magic left behind. Local fishermen start reporting something really strange. If someone sits by the water at night and cries, the ocean waves washing ashore actually become noticeably warmer. It's no longer this cold, predatory thing. It feels exactly as though someone down there is listening and offering a gentle comfort through the tide. Ultimately, we are left with this profound realization. Some people don't disappear after death. They become part of what they loved too much. Tanjiro didn't just die to defeat some big bad monster. His boundless empathy actually merged with the ocean's infinite sorrow. He literally became the very thing he sacrificed himself to soothe. Now, Mitsuri still visits that beach alone. And sometimes, a wave will gently touch her feet, and it feels exactly like a warm human hand. Deep underwater, right in the heart of that drowned, sorrowful city, among the thousands of chaotic voices, there is now one steady voice acting as a gentle anchor. A voice that continues to repeat one final thought to anyone who will listen. Do not be afraid to let go. It's such a powerful reminder that true love sometimes requires surrender, and that accepting our grief is sometimes the only way to keep our world from drowning. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. So, I'll leave you with this. Are we holding on too tight to the things we've lost, or are we finally brave enough to let them go?